College football's New Year's Eve party's almost here. This Fiesta Bowl features the first at-large team in playoff history, the Ohio State Buckeyes. One win away from the return to the title game. Let's kick off Dunn Chevy Buick's Road to the Championship, Buckeyes in Arizona. Here are Steve Slivka and Joe Nugent.
Welcome to Dessert in the Desert. College football once again saving the best for last.
The Buckeyes and the Tigers in the Fiesta Bowl Saturday evening right here in the Valley.
Normally, it is hard to find a weakness at Ohio State, but that's not the case this year. No question, it is the passing game.
I like where we're at right now. I think we're going to be at a good place. I think with the preparation this week for game week, just polishing up things that we already did in bowl practice, I think we're going to be ready when game time comes.
JT seems to be tired of answering questions about the passing game. Could be motivation as he's the main guy this time around in the college football playoff.
It's one of my goals I wrote down freshman year was to win national championship, and we won one, but I wasn't able to play in it. So it was a little different, but now being able to get a chance to play, it's definitely exciting. Very grateful for just being injury-free and this season and being able to play. So I'm happy to go out there and play with the guys.
What does Clemson think of the Ohio State quarterback? Here's a hint. Not much. Again, more motivation for number 16.
I don't feel, real strong about his arm. I don't think he's one of the best passers.
Who's to say he's not going to struggle against us? He might have his best passing game, but we just need to be prepared.
We've played better quarterbacks than him. I'm not taking anything away from him. I don't think that he's a bad player. He's definitely a good player. But, he just doesn't stand out as one of the best quarterbacks that we've played this year.
He's so poised when it comes to, tough situations, and he knows how to handle tough situations, and I feel like when things not going well, he's really calm and just know how to handle different things, and they rub off on different guys on the team, and I feel like it helped us a lot this year.
He's able to reach a lot of people, and I think that's something unique for him as a leader, being able to reach all the corners and the DBs and everybody on the football team, and not just a specific group. And I think that makes him kind of unique as a leader.
The other quarterback in this one has sniffed the Heisman Trophy 2 straight years, finishing second most recently.
Deshaun Watson might be going pro. He says he made that decision with his family over the short break for the football team. The choice, still a secret. He's won the Davey O'Brien Trophy as the nation's best quarterback, and Ohio State is ready for the challenge.
He's a Heisman quarterback, man. What else can you say? He's going to go out there. He's going to make plays. He has tremendous athletes around him and the explosive offense with a great coordinator that's going to give you some hard looks, but we just got to do our job.
We feel like we can stop anyone, so of course we feel like we can stop them, but it's one thing about saying it and another thing about doing it. So we have to, that's our whole objective is to stop their offense.
Everybody has to come together and make a contribution to the defense and to stopping this one person and then stopping everybody else as well.
He's a great player. We're not going to shut them down completely, but we got to slow them down and not let them control the game. We got to control the game, and if they can throw the ball and run the ball, we're obviously not going to win the game, so we want to stop them, slow them down as much as we can.
Coaching college football is time-consuming and maybe a bit too time-consuming. Luke Fickell has plenty to do with the Buckeyes as a coordinator, and now throw in that second full-time job that he has today. Since the morning of December 11th, it's been a sprint for Luke Fickell when the Buckeyes defensive coordinator and Cincinnati agreed to lead the Bearcats. He has one eye on building a team in Southwest Ohio while still leading these Buckeyes through the college football playoff.
When we were back in Columbus, you had the ability, when you got off later in the night, to be able to do some of your stuff that you had to do. But when we're here, the number one most important thing is to focus on the guys and what's at hand right now. So got some good people that are working for you back home that you can kind of not worry about that and just focus all your energy on this right here.
Fickell may be 2 weeks away from being all in on the Bearcats, but these Buckeyes still feel his fire.
He still gets on us a lot. It's Coach Fick. He's still here with us right now. He's still a Buckeye.
He treats you like one of his kids almost. He gets to know you. He has your best interests at heart and really wants you to develop as a young man and as a player.
He's the heart and soul of Ohio State, just in general, When you look at what it means to be an Ohio State guy, what it means to represent Ohio State well, he's done it at every level. As a player, as a coach.
Remember, it was just 5 years ago when Fickell stepped in as the interim head coach after Jim Tressel resigned, and Ohio State obviously hired Urban Meyer. This is not lost on the players or even Fickell's co-D coordinator, Greg Schiano.
You talk about unfair, right? I mean, that's a tough deal to be walking into where you don't really get to do any of that. Really, what you're trying to do is keep the thing afloat. And I'm excited for he and for his family because, I mean, super people and exceptional coach.
One of the tougher things was just as you left before the bowl game, and you start trying to clean out some stuff and make some boxes and get rid of some of the stuff that you got or put it away, and that's when maybe it started to hit you a little bit. But you know me, I try not to allow myself to have those thoughts and those things, to stay focused on what it is we're doing. But with what's going on, it's not the easiest thing in the world.
We know Scarlet and Gray runs deep through Luke's body, but just how deep does it run? He's been with Ohio State every year, but just 4 since 1993.
No doubt some late nights for the coaches on that side of the ball as they get ready for this potent Tiger offense.
The truism is they're gigantic. They're real big at defensive ends, 310 pounds. Inside, they're 310, 315. They're big. They're highly recruited athletes. You can see that. I think they play a lot of defense, and sometimes that gets them out of whack. But it also causes, I think they're number one, or at least in the big games they played, they're number one in the country. We did all the stats against the teams they're supposed to beat and then the big games. And they're number one in interceptions and number one in tackles for loss. So those kind of defenses create major issues, but every once in a while want to be given up.
Dabo Swinney trying to join Mark D'Antonio is the only 2 head coaches to beat Urban twice at Ohio State. Both these teams are very young, especially the Buckeyes. There are 2 schools of thought related to Ohio State's inexperience. The coaches.
It'll be interesting to see how some of the young guys, first-year starters, handle the environment.
And the players.
A lot of people didn't really think we was going to be that good. Well, be here this year because how young we were. And I knew it the whole time how talented we were.
Mike Weber is one of those new starters, a 1,000-yard back as a freshman in just the 3rd in program history, but so much has changed for him since that opener against BG.
I feel like me playing against Bowling Green my first game and me playing against Michigan is totally different just because of experience. I'm more poised and I know what to expect on a college level now than Bowling Green. I didn't really know what to expect. I was just out there just running around, and I think experience is really a big factor of maturity.
Despite losing 16 starters and relying on youth like no other team in the country, at this point, the Buckeyes are not buying they have an issue.
Our schedule and the way things played out, I think we grew up really fast. And, I mean, the road games we had and also, too, just the tight games in general, I think that helped us a lot in being able to get the experience we needed to put ourselves in a position to play at this type of game.
Some people break down in big moments, so just being able to experience some big moments during the season and then coming here, it definitely helps out our younger guys because they understand what they're coming into. They understand what the mindset they have.
Once the ball snapped, all the youth is out. It's time to go play, and really good players go play and forget about all that stuff.
Ohio State and Clemson do not have a deep history of playing one another on the football field. In fact, they've only met twice, the last time a few years ago in the Orange Bowl when Taj Boyd led the Tigers to a 5-point victory over the Buckeyes.
Do you remember the first game?
You do have a small memory of that first game.
I don't know how I would have any memory of that.
Oh, okay.
It's 1978. It was the Gator Bowl. It was Woody Hayes' final game. It was the punch.
Yes, the punch.
Yeah, he punched a player. That's it for the 10-year war.
Sure, and still more to come. It's not difficult to find a stud here in the Valley, but one just happens to be coaching the offensive line this year for the Buckeyes. Welcome back here with Buckeye offensive line coach Greg Studrawa, and not just the offensive line coach, but a graduate of Fostoria St. Wendell High School. You know, we're just looking at some senior photos from that day. When you see those pictures and the team photo from the football team and hanging out with your buddies on graduation day, what takes you back to that 1984?
I'll tell you some great memories. Those were good guys. Those pictures are pretty bad, so I hope nobody sees them. But those were great memories for us. You know, great school. I loved growing up in Fostoria. We had a great team that year. You know, went to the state state finals, lost in the championship game, and but it was great memories. I really miss those days.
When you look at your time of meeting Urban at Bowling Green, and then here we are today, several years later, what is it about this process of getting here today?
Oh, it's a long process. I was fortunate to be Urban's first line coach. We had great times there. Obviously you could tell he was going to be a tremendous football coach. He turned Bowling Green around, which is my alma mater. We turned that program around. He's brought it, back to where it is now. They've had great success since he's left. And then just being with him, spending that time with him has led to coming back now this time. And I couldn't be more fortunate and blessed.
We were just talking that you went with Urban to Utah for a month. I didn't realize that. Yeah. And then before you came back with Greg Brandon at Bowling Green to be his offensive coordinator. Such a crazy business.
It is. It's crazy. I was happy to be with Urban. I was excited about Utah. But at the time in my career, I had a chance to be an offensive coordinator. And I realized the talent that we had recruited in those 2 years to Bowling Green. Josh Harris, Omar Jacobs was still there. We had great players. And so I took that opportunity to be an offensive coordinator and advance my career a little bit there. And it was. We won a couple bowl victories and went back and had a great job. And that propelled me on to LSU and then the things I've done then. So it was really good. It was sad leaving coach because what a great job he did at Utah and then Florida and those things. So, but now getting the opportunity to come back, just tremendous.
We were talking before the season began that this, as an offensive line coach, this is a dream job for you with Ohio State. But now that we're here in the playoff, how much more does that sink in of that dream of, being back in Ohio with the Buckeyes and with Urban?
I mean, that's a dream in itself. Being an Ohio boy, coming back home, coaching for the Buckeyes, the best program in the country. And now, icing on the cake, getting to play for another national championship. I was fortunate at LSU to play for it twice, won one, lost one. And then now we get another time again. That's what you coach for. You coach for these moments. You come to Ohio State for these moments to play for it all. And now we get that opportunity.
You mentioned the national championship at LSU. Obviously, these guys just won one 2 years ago. But how much does that experience help you to coach these guys up with just a different perspective on playing for the national championship, even though they just recently had a taste of it?
Yeah, you're right. It's excellent. That prepares you. You know how to handle things. You know how to handle all the outside stuff because that's what you got to get the kids not to focus on. Focus on it's just another game, preparing for the game and not all the outside noise. And when you've been there and you've experienced it, I think it really is beneficial to helping your kids prepare the right way.
Getting these guys right at the offensive line for Saturday against Clemson, what has been the focus, in this month or so that you've had to prepare?
Well, the good thing is we got the chance to go back to fundamentals and technique and work on the pass protection, help Isaiah get better, help Michael Jordan, two young guys that are playing, to really go back to fundamentals and help those guys prepare for this because it's a tremendous test against a great Clemson team. And now we've had an opportunity to go back to square one fundamental-wise and work hard to get those guys better.
These guys had a lot of time off to get ready for this game, so to speak.
Yep.
Does that help? Is that a good thing from your perspective?
Well, I think sometimes it's good because for me, to go back to all those fundamentals and the teaching things that sometimes get lost during the season because you only have a couple of days of practice to prepare, I got to go back to and work on those things that make us better. So for us, it's been really good as an offensive line.
Greg, appreciate your time. And here's what some of the guys think about their time off that they had in this month to get ready for Clemson.
You get your body back. Recovery guys who are dinged up, who have an ankle sprain or a shoulder or anything like that, it's a big benefit, especially if they're a key contributor to your team. So that definitely helps.
Just being able to wait a month, because you kind of those first couple of weeks you can get a couple of days off and actually be able to get to relax and let your body rest. Again, because we've been in 15, 16 plus weeks of football, being in camp and going through 12 weeks.
Still to come on Dunn Chevy Buick's road to the championship, Buckeyes in Arizona. Where does Curtis Samuel fit into the Fiesta Bowl hype? The Buckeyes beat writer from The Blade has the answer.
We're back on Dunn Chevy Buick's road to the championship, Buckeyes in Arizona, joined by Nick Petrovich of The Blade, who is with the Buckeyes on every single road game, even if they're not that much fun, if they're at Illinois or whatever. But hey, conventional wisdom around here seems to think that Clemson's going to win this game. If both teams play as well as they can, folks like the Tigers, but the Buckeyes are favored. So do you think that's fair to Ohio State?
Yeah, I think it's hard to get a good read on this game simply because both teams have had their ups and downs. Clemson's had their loss against Pitt, nearly lost to Troy, but also their huge wins against Florida State and against Louisville. Ohio State, I don't know that people entirely know what to expect. Their pass protection really struggled against the good teams they played, but albeit they still won 11 games. And Deshaun Watson's definitely a difference maker for Clemson, but I think Ohio State's got an important key. He's thrown 15 interceptions this year, and Ohio State is one of the best secondaries in college football and, is liable to take a pick back at almost any point. So that's a that'll be an important thing on both sides of the ball for either one.
Are you looking forward to seeing Marshawn Lattimore try to guard Mike Williams?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be one of the key to the game is that Greg Schiano, Ohio State's defensive coordinator, said that this is the deepest, best group of receivers they've gone against. So not even that matchup, but all the way down. Their tight end's an All-American. Clemson's pass catchers are terrific, so that's going to be one of the most important parts of this whole game.
On Clemson's defense, Jadar Johnson had some, I don't know, it wasn't necessarily extremely controversial words to say about JT, but it was kind of interesting. He, said that this guy is not really any better than any quarterback we've seen. Are you surprised to hear him say something like that in this week leading up to the game?
I was surprised by the honesty. Normally it's, that we're going to take this one game at a time. He's a great player. I was surprised. I appreciated the frankness of it, but to be fair, he wasn't wrong. They've played 5 quarterbacks that have a better passer rating than Barrett does. But he did say that he's a good player. The only thing I disagreed with is that he also said that he thought Braxton Miller was a much better passer than Barrett. And I don't know about that.
Nobody's talking about Curtis Samuel. How has he just fallen off the map?
Yeah, I can promise you Clemson has not forgotten him. He's going to be a huge part of Ohio State's game plan, simply because they use him so creatively. And with this much time to prepare, I'm betting that they have a special way to use him, maybe even in a trick play fashion. In the Sugar Bowl 2 years ago, they nailed a trick play on a reverse against Alabama, and I'd be betting they have at least a couple of those in the works with Samuel involved heavily.
All right, can't wait. Thanks, Nick. Deshaun Watson's a guy that thought about for a minute, maybe going to Ohio State. He kind of clears up that whole recruitment situation when he obviously finally decided to go to Clemson.
I grew up an Urban Meyer fan. Just love the way he coached, love the way he do things. I was a big Tim Tebow fan. So, all growing up, Florida was the school I was going to. And then, he left Florida and then became the coach at Ohio State. And he came down to visit, and, my eyes was wide open because, it's my coach that I dreamed of watching, and just being able to, meet him. But I was already committed to Clemson, and I was going to stay true to my word. And I just fell in love with the Tigers and wanted to stay down south. But it was nothing against Ohio State. They were my second choice if I wouldn't have went to Clemson.
In other fascinating recruiting storylines, Raekwon McMillan almost had the opposite experience. The Tigers tried to lure him to Clemson, and you know the rest of the story.
Good to look across the field and see some of the guys I recruited with and some of the guys that recruited me.
Buckeye running back Mike Weber, the center of a high-profile recruiting battle. As a Detroit native, he chose Ohio State over the Maize and Blue. Not a popular decision back home, but this game, in a sense, validates the decision.
I picked Ohio State because I felt like it was the best fit for me at the time. And, I think it still is because I have a lot of success here, and I'm playing for the college football playoff, and it's a great university. I'm surrounded by really good teammates and coaches, and it's a good feeling.
Still to come, why Urban Meyer can credit Clemson with a small part of the Buckeyes' success this season.
Welcome back to the desert. Joe, this Buckeye defense, they're playing some great football to end the regular season.
Yeah, and the numbers certainly back it up. They're only averaging 12 points against the final 4 games of the season. They're playing great, and here's how they're able to do it.
Guys continue to developing and getting chemistry and working well together. We, a lot of us we only returned 3 guys from last season, and a lot of us were new starters, and just continuing to mesh and learn to trust each other. We continue to play, and we want to play our best football at the end of the season.
Made more plays down the stretch, and we just happen to benefit from everybody coming together even more after tough times.
No matter how hard it got, how bad we were playing, we've always, sort of fought it out and came out on the greater end of things.
Teams started to scheme us up in the middle of the season. They didn't really know who we were at the beginning of the season. Started to scheme us up and really hit some of the spots that we had been giving up for a while. And then towards the end of the season, man, we really locked down on it, went hard in practice, and focused on everything that we had been giving up.
You don't get to this point of the season by just simple X's and O's. The battle in college football is more than just the pigskin. It's recruiting and really a ton more. Urban not ashamed to give the other teams playing tomorrow their due credit.
I compare programs all the time. For example, Clemson was the program that we really studied because I thought their social media approach to recruiting was #1 in the country. So our guys tell me we're #1 now. We hired a guy just for that reason. I'll look at what Nick Saban does. He's a friend, and I see what he does, and we certainly evaluate how they go about their business. And then Chris Peterson's been a friend for a long time, so we've always, so I don't, it's not ourselves, but the program. And I like to study winners, and the three guys in that playoff are winners, and we certainly know what they do.
There's so much talk. You hear it at home, and it's happening here, and the players are definitely feeling that vibe as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that we've been off for a month or more than a month. So, hey, finally, the game, it's almost here.
I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, like, this is another game, because it's not. Like, we're talking about the college football playoffs, and we're talking about the chance to go play for a national championship. So just to sit there and say that, I think that's not the truth.
This is the biggest game of them all so far, and it's a different mindset and a different mentality at Ohio State when you're about to play a big game. You know, preparation's different. You know, you eat your meals different, and the young guys have really embraced that.
And don't forget, Michigan playing tonight in the Orange Bowl. Come on back tonight for coverage of that one. But for now, we're done. Thanks so much for watching Dunn Chevy Buick's Road to the Championship. Buckeyes in Arizona. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for watching this special presentation. 13ABC presents Dunn Chevy Buick's Road to the Championship, Buckeyes in Arizona. You're watching Dunn Chevy Buick's Road to the Championship, Buckeyes in Arizona.